Hello everyone. In this video what I'm going to do is just review the questions that were asked in relation to chapter 10 of Turabian on writing a final introduction and conclusion. So thank you all for your responses. They all came in on time, which was great, and pretty much as before, everyone understood what the questions were looking for, but let's just run through them in case anyone missed a detail or two. So question one, how much of the paper does Turabian recommend should be devoted to the introduction, and should the conclusion be longer or shorter than this? 10% really of the paper should be devoted to the introduction, and really the conclusion should be shorter. Question two, what are the three principal aims of the conclusion? The conclusion should leave readers with a clear idea of the author's claim, ensure that the readers grasp its importance, and lastly, indicate directions for future research. So that's what the conclusion is intended to do. Question three, which two words show that the question that's being posed right at the beginning is expected to modify existing assumptions? So the introduction is likely to include a word like but or however to show that what we have come to believe is capable of being improved, and that your paper, anyone's paper, is going to make a case for how that should be done. Question four, which three cliches should the opening sentence avoid? So that's repeating the language of the assignment, in other words, the title of the assignment, quoting any kind of dictionary definition, or beginning too generally. Question five, should the conclusion simply restate the main points of the introduction in identical order? No, Turabian recommends that it should restate those points in reverse order. So you take the order of the conclusion and then just reverse the sequence of points in it. And last of all, question six, when should the title be written, and why is a two-part title to be preferred? So the title should really be written last. So the first thing anyone's going to read is the last thing to write, just because then you're able to say with confidence what you feel the whole substance can be summed up as in a sort of single statement. In two parts, because this allows for more key terms. Okay, so the whole point of the material that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks since the first submission is really to rehearse the strategies for putting together a writing process, rather than trying to write frantically all at once without much idea of planning and not being sure how to really progress from one stage to the next, and things looking really a bit lacking in focus and direction, and really not doing ourselves the fullest justice that we'd hoped to when we started out on the project. So our project, as you know, is to compare a selected number of recordings on a chosen piece by Beethoven. So I've seen what pieces people are looking at going over the first submission. And what I'd like you to do now, so this is the next thing I'm going to ask everyone to do, is to compile their discography. So in other words, to list the recordings that you will be referring to, that you are going to compare. Now remember, these need to be commercially available, not just something which is a reference to an online source on YouTube or something similar. Now, how do you do that? So the first thing you need to remember is that recordings are issued by recording companies with catalogue numbers. So recordings always have catalogue numbers. So what I don't want to see in the discography is a string of URLs. Whether you've picked something up off Spotify, whether you can find a commercially available recording on YouTube, it won't be good enough just to list the URL. And why is that? Because materials on a streaming service or on YouTube aren't permanent. A commercially available recording is a permanent record. It may drop out of print, it may not be available, but you can still acquire it, or you can go to a library and track it. Spotify and YouTube, they are dependent on their copyright clearance. If that fails, their material will just be pulled. And sometimes people upload things, and if they don't have copyright clearance, that material will just disappear. So where do you find catalogue numbers? Well, Spotify may list them, another streaming service may list them, but what you may need to do is to work out which recording company released that recording. If it's Deutsche Grammophon, if it's London, if it's RCA, if it's a newer label like Alpha, or a smaller label like Mirara. You need to work out who that recording company is and possibly go to their website. That's one way to do it. You can try to look at it on a library record. If KU has it, that may also give you the catalogue number. But it really is a kind of sleuthing exercise. As we mentioned in class, discographies aren't really ultra current. They tended to be outpaced by history. Some of the materials you're interested in may be in a discography at this time. Really, we're struggling with the fact that maybe not a lot of them are online. Gramophone has that kind of information. If you can source a review of your particular recordings, Gramophone should be able to find that for you. And as I understood things to be developing in the School of Music, I think the online archive for Gramophone should be available. I was told we were about to go ahead with a subscription to that, so check Gramophone magazine amongst journals on our holdings, on our catalogue, and see if you can access things that way. So it's a slightly incomplete exercise, but it is a very, very important one. Now, how do you write those catalogue numbers down? Well, helpfully, Turabian gives good advice on that. So I think everybody will have their copy of Turabian. If you go to pages 210 to 11, if you've used a style type or style format like Chicago, that's where a Chicago style presentation of a recording is listed. So there are examples, pages 210 to 11. I'll write this in a separate email. But if you used an author date system like MLA or APA, that's on pages 278 to 9. So pages 278 to 9 of Turabian. So there's good advice there on how to set out a recording. It could be it's a recording in a larger box set, for example, but it shows you how to do that. It tells you what information you need to include about a box set where your recording is maybe just one of a whole set of Beethoven symphonies. Now then, what I also want is secondarily music examples. I want you to list the music examples that you think will illustrate the differences between the recordings you're comparing. Now we listened to one example on the Beethoven Sonata in E, Opus 109 from the BBC's broadcast, and I will give a link to another one. This will be again by Beethoven, the String Quartet in E flat, Opus 127. That was reviewed by Stephen Johnson. So I'll send you the URL. You'll need to repaste that into your browser. It will probably not click directly from the email. What about the styling of music examples? Well, that's reasonably well described here in Herbert. So that's in Trevor Herbert, 2009. That's on the course outline bibliography. And as you'll remember, it's available through KU's catalogue as an online resource. So you can check this online. The page you need to look for is page 145. Page 145. I'll put that in the email also. So two things I'm looking for: the discography that you are going to be essentially referring to compare your recordings, to put that together. Secondly, the music examples you're going to use to actually make good comparisons between the recordings and show what you think are the important points that some performers get right and others maybe not quite so much. So this will take a bit of time, but it will help with the preparation of this exercise, which is going to be submitted, as you all remember, for the Monday of finals week. So it's not due until then, but if we can prepare this, this will help an awful lot. So, since it will take some more time, what I will say is this. If you can send me your submission with a discography, with the music examples already indicated, I would like that by Monday, the 27th of April. So April the 27th at 12 noon. So maybe send this as an attachment, put your name in the file name of the attachment and also on the script, also on the text that describes the discography and also the music example. So name twice, please, in the file itself and also in the actual text as it opens up once the file is opened. So that's not due until Monday the 27th, so that'll be almost 10 days to put that together. So that should be enough time to be able to assemble that and to think it through. And you can compare, as I said, another version of a Beethoven comparison, and that's also available for a string quartet, one of the late string quartets. Okay, I think that's all I need to say just now, so I will sign off. I will, as before, just give the URL for this video, so hopefully it'll be easily accessible and we'll take things forward from here. Okay, bye for now.